Hello everyone, it's Dark here, and today for this simple video I wanted to quickly talk about the series real quick that me and a few friends are making called Grand Adventure. However, it's kind of just started. Or at least I finally just started getting the stuff so that it could be released. In fact, I've only gotten the first chapter. We're about to almost already release the second chapter, but that's and it took me like a year to kind of do these two chapters because of how long people were taking breaks and stuff. But other than that, everything's kind of been going. We've actually already continued the series like story writing, even though that the actual manga/comic will not be up to date where we actually are. So, yeah. And for some people wondering, how can you be still story writing if you're literally already, uploading stuff? Like, what if you wanna, go back and change something? Well, the difference is actually on this one we will be doing sweeter. Speaking is very hard. I'm sorry. The difference is that this whole story is actually just kind of, I don't know, more like just a creative writing choice called, based off this game called D&D, also known as Dungeons and Dragons. Literally, that's what it's based off of, and that's also how we're story writing it, literally just by us being in a call like how you would for Dungeons and Dragons, which actually, in most cases, you're actually in real life playing with these people, but we obviously are not all going to meet up in the same place, so instead we settled on a Discord call here.
Yeah, and I really think that this can be really big based on how uniquely it was built. People don't really use D&D to write their stories. At least in my mind, I really don't see much people call out, "Hey, I use D&D to write these stories." And it's been really fun. At sometimes it can stress me out of how much times I have to record or such and so, and managing the space that I have to record and all that. It can really stress me out sometimes, yes. But I think that this can be a really big idea for anime manga, and that's what I'm really proud of for this potential big anime that's coming out. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
However, it's the same things go, is we get choices, there's dungeons, there are dragons, and we just kind of have to make choices to, I guess, further our character development. The cool thing about Grand Adventure that I found out is that, the fact that we have so many people, I believe we have 7, however, it's probably around that range, unless you count villains, which I believe we have 2 villains that are 2 villain people, like people who are villains. However, I don't know if they're going to be in the story against the heroes, and if that may be like a season 2 kind of situation or whatnot as of now, because literally, like I said, the story writing for the entirety of the story is dependent on basically what everyone does. I guess if a person just if they over leveled or something and then they fight us, then we're gonna have a tough time or whatnot. If they're under leveled and they try to fight us and then we just fold them, that literally could be the way it just goes. However, with 7 people, it's kind of gives you a fresh take, because usually mangas, animes, comics, whatnot, they either have a team of people who brainstorm, what a correct idea is, or you have one manga person, like one literal person by themselves, creating it all by themselves. The difference is that I have a few friends who are basically D&D professionals. In fact, they literally do it for Reddit. They've even helped in D&D and have also helped in a bunch of other stuff, which I won't get into because this is not about them. However, they started quote unquote making the story writing kind of structuring, kind of making some outlines, not really guide, I guess you could really call them just guides, they guided, just like D&D, they basically make the words instead of me just making it up all by myself, since I am technically a character in there. And you know, even though I'm a character in there, I still like am the dungeon guy. Like, I'm the guy who tells everybody the stuff that they need to hear. However, I still react as if I'm also just hearing the information, especially since I have to read it. So sometimes I'll even react to that information, especially if it's new and I've never seen it before, and I'll just react to it first because I'm the one reading it. So I'll definitely have a specific reaction, and my friends would be able to tell you, like, yeah, there's some times where he's like, bro, I just read this. And then I start struggling. So, but there's also other times where I'm like, oh, okay, so this happened the same way as ours. So here I'm going to tell you exactly like this. And this is how it goes. And, even with that being said, right, then I have my friends and myself, of course, who will influence the story beyond that. So not only do we have guides from literal official teams that are good at writing, good at what they do, but then you have me and my friends who, all act however we act, and we will look at these guides and we'll make decisions based off like what the guide is kind of saying. And the decisions are completely based up to us rather than, just like our hand being held. So it's kind of like technically two different teams. One that has your traditional collaboration team, as and then the other one that kind of just, the bunch, like, just basically a bunch of directors in the same room just coming up with different ideas and throwing them all into one. Sometimes. Obviously, there's sometimes where it's just only one answer, so like we come to an agreement, or we have to convince somebody to come to that agreement. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. I also took some liberties to just kind of research other isekais. One of them that I came across was called Death March to a Parallel World, which is a quick, easy Google search if you want to, just take a quick look at it. I mean, there's a dub and there's a sub. I watched both. However, when I was reading the comments of that, people were saying that it was like awesome, that it was like a great, almost 10 out of 10 isekai, if not a 10 out of 10 isekai. In fact, they said the only issue was that like it doesn't fit everybody's style, which is the whole point of the show. However, they gave some points, and I kind of looked at those comments to just kind of compare and contrast. In fact, the top comment, the top voted comment, I guess I should say, it literally had like 3 different paragraphs of just what they did right, and I read that. One of them being that like the character isn't like, I guess abusing information or something. Actually, in fact, I'm just gonna. Sorry, I had to snap my fingers and totally not read exactly what it was. But basically, the person, literally here, I'll even actually share my screen so less work for others here, because I literally pulled it up. This is what I read right here. It was, as you can see, is like literally when it came out, they read it and they gave the review. This person literally did a 5 stars, and as you can see, only 90 people actually said no, that they didn't like this. Like, it says helpful, but really just means, do they agree or not? Like, do you agree? Do you not agree? So 500 people said, yeah, I agree with this comment out of the 598. So only 90 people were like, nah, this is stupid. And I was reading it, right? Literally, yeah, he talks up first about the thing, and he's like, I'm gonna not spoil, and it says the character is very relatable and the decisions make sense. And that is the first portion I want to take on here about like comparing, contrasting our I guess story. And that being said, with that portion, I don't know if our characters are relatable. We have like 7 characters that are all in there, and I don't know if you can relate to any of them. I guess it depends on how you are. In order for me to also avoid spoilers, You got people like me, my character, who are quiet but also helpful. So if you are quiet but you want to help and you actually try to help sometimes, then I guess you could relate to my character because I don't. I mean, I talk sometimes. Like, don't get me wrong, I do talk in the story, but like I also am mainly quiet and just do things. I just kind of do things. Then you have, character like for my dogs, this character who's more kind of the typical. I don't know. I don't even know if I can call him typical anime character at this point. Like at first, I said that he was basically the typical anime character. So if you related to the typical anime character, you would relate to him. But I mean, that's kind of the definition's kind of shifted at this point. But if you're a guy who, or a girl, or however, I guess, if you're just a person who basically is more confident in themselves and prefers to end things quickly, but also kind of gets depressed if they find out I can't do anything or I'm powerless, then you might relate to Leo's character. There's so many things, and like for example, if you're a pervy kind of person, you might relate to Renge. So there's so many people, and it also goes to talk about he's not a depraved pervert, which I'm not gonna say Renge is a depraved pervert. However, he's probably just like if I had to give a rating, right, like a normal person, let's just say who's a good who's like the opposite of a pervert. Luffy. Yeah, Luffy doesn't like go after any ladies. So yeah, if Luffy was a 1 and 10 was pervy sage, I'd probably put Renge on like the 5-6 scale, maybe 7 if he's like really going ham. But I wouldn't put him past 7. Like I wouldn't. I simply wouldn't. And he's not naive either. And that one I kind of is actually kind of compared like similar to our series. One person literally is with someone, okay, and another person is thinking about being with that person depending on the situation. So, I mean, like I said, it's not like your typical. I guess most of your isekais where it's like the main character just refuses the woman or the guy like they just if it's a lady main character, then the dude that comes up to them smoking hot and they get rejected for some stupid reason and you're like, what? I would have said yes 10 minutes ago. Like, they're not like that, especially for my dogs, bro. Literally, I mean, depending on how you see it, like, bro got with a lady who technically, I'm going to say politely asked him out, and the bro said, okay, yeah, you're pretty good looking. I would have to be stupid to not, like, stay with you. And, I mean, yeah, that's how a usual person comes up. I mean, if you're going to sit there and tell me that if a person you find attractive, regardless of what gender you find them attractive as, came up to you asking you out or whatnot, like, I doubt, unless you feel like playing hard to get, would say kind of no. So it's like that. And he says he attracts some younger companions. Well, while this is not fully inaccurate, especially at this point now, because we have had people who look like, lollies or look like they're young, but they're actually way older than us. Just like this, yeah, it's not a lolicon either, and we definitely are not moving on any of the ladies. However, this one, he's like, they talk about how he's more of a father figure and prefers to do these kind of acts. While we do not, I mean, keep in mind, we're not going to any brothels or taverns, where you can do that. To touching their companions, I mean, like, the person that For My Dogs is with is definitely a companion, I'm not gonna lie. So, going to a brothel is more like mature audience thing, and you 100%. 100%? I'm sorry. English is just very hard right now for some weird reason. brothels are usually mature and you cannot show them no matter what. Like, you showing a brothel is basically illegal unless you're trying to make prison school part 2 anyways, or high school, DxD. So instead, we're probably going to be more a part of that touching the companions. Now that I think about, and we're also very intelligent in most cases, and are very curious about certain things. Like, for example, some people are more curious about how to level up quicker, how to stop being weak. Some are more curious about how to get more magic abilities. I think For My Dogs knows exactly. If he was seeing this video, he would know exactly the 2 people that would looking for magic upgrades. Anywho, and it says here that the world isn't a nice place. Racial discrimination, human trafficking, even though that's kind of really like anything. I mean, especially isekais now, they used to have slaves, all that garbage, and even though it's the same here, I mean, yeah, there's slaves. We encounter it. There's racial discrimination too. I mean, there's a lot of that. Is in fact, there's little gangs in the world. So it's like, in fact, if anything, the world is kind of similar to our normal world, if that means anything to people. So, and the fact that it says, which can provide a greater sense of realism, I feel like the fact that our world isn't just overflowing with fantasy elements other than maybe magic, then since it's like kind of real. I mean, there's even science behind some of these things, and I had to obviously, go out of my way to explain that us moving in light allows us to still see, even though the science behind if you move faster than light is that you see complete darkness. So we had to put that out the point and just make a fantasy element for that. So, and it says magic is powerful but not commonplace that everyone can use it. That one is probably the least, at least in our story. Like, we use magic, everyone uses magic. I mean, we all use, technically they're called elements instead of magic. Magic is like a different thing, since magic's more like genjutsu, type situation, or summoning level stuff. But in a lot of cases, putting fire in your palm is for some reason counted as magic, as if you can't do that with just technology. So I guess technically it is magic and everyone uses it. However, magic isn't like crazy powerful, and is also based off just training. It says there's a lot of exploration, which our stories exploration, I don't even think we stay in one place. Like, I think the longest we've ever stayed in any place is in the beginning area, and then we moved immediately, and we've never stopped moving. So I can definitely say there's plenty of exploration in the story if you're all about that life. And it says the main character is not so weak that he has to grind or stick around in any one place. And that's where our stories differ, like crazily. In our story, Grand Adventure, which this is in the synopsis, so not a spoiler, the whole point of Grand Adventure is that everyone is stronger than us, because we are not the main characters. So everyone is stronger than us. Everything is stronger than us. We're just weak comparatively to everyone around us. And the whole point is to see kind of like what would 7 different people. I could be saying 7 and it's like 5. I'm sorry, but yeah, what would 7 people of kind of different mental thought processes, how do they react to being weaker in a world where they're weaker, but they have new abilities that they usually wouldn't have? Along with the fact that, so we are weak, but then the fact that it says that he has to grind or stick in one place. Literally, I don't think we've ever grinded or stuck in any one place. Like I said, the longest we've probably stuck anywhere was the beginning area, and then we just kind of never stopped moving. I mean, we did quests, but the quest required us to move, and then we would go from the quest finishing it to doing immediately something else. So to be fair, this one doesn't really fit because not every time if the character's weak or needs to grind or they like staying in one place to grind. I mean, we do grind as far as doing missions, helping people. Like, we go out of our way to get as much EXP as possible, but we're not just like, constantly killing the same area of slimes in order to level up. And, I agree with this comment. If you like adventure, then you would like our series, hence the name, Grand Adventure. They say they like the pacing, so it's a little weird because pacing is kind of slow if you read literally. In fact, if you watch these, every 3 episodes is a part of the same thing. So like these 3 episodes are all one thing. 3 episodes, all one thing. These 3 episodes, all one thing, and then the last 3 episodes, all one thing. So that's only 3, 6, 9. Wait, actually, I almost said 12. So that's 4. That's 4 things that they're doing. They're only doing 4 things here. In this entire 12 episode thing, they're only doing 4 different things. Because it is a slow pacing, because you get like 3 episodes just to move. You're like 1 episode to move, 2 episodes to fight, 3rd episode to resolve. That's probably how I could name it without saying anything. Then I moved on. I don't really go to this one, but I did look at it, even though it doesn't really matter. I don't really go beyond this. So I kind of just looked at this one, and this one is pretty close too. Only 13 people didn't like it. However, they gave him a 4-star, and it says no action, relaxed. So it is slow pacing, and then this is where I agreed. It says no overarching plot, no desperate mission to save the world, no grand mission. However, I looked at that and I realized, does technically just kind of trying to get stronger count as a grand mission? Because I don't know. We're literally just, the whole point of what we're doing is just trying to get stronger. So, we're not like trying to get stronger for a reason. So I feel like, and there's no desperate mission. There's no demon lord coming out of the floor if we don't do something. There's literally nothing to save the world. In fact, if anything, Leo, one of our people, are the only thing that would possibly cause the world to have to be saved. And he's on our team. Like, he's one of the characters. and there's no overarching plot. We're just kind of going with the flow. When something happens, we're checking it out. And then we're just like, okay, I guess we're doing this. Cool. So I don't really know if this pertains to us. And it says he's a normal person, not a hero, but with basic morals of, our world. That one is a little different for us as well. Because I wouldn't say we're normal people. We act how we act normally, and I definitely wouldn't call us heroes, being that we have definitely murdered a few people. In fact, some would call some people, literally, I showed some people just basically made a definition of what happened one episode, and they called him a villain. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, we're probably not heroes. And nor do we act like heroes. Even one of our nicest people who may or may not be editing this video did something pretty evil. We rectified it eventually, but like the fact that even he did that is just like going to prove that we do have morals. And people always say that we have good morals, but when you realize if you were in these situations how you would actually act, you'll realize that it is kind of different. And I think that with how we act, there are a lot of cases where, these morals that we have are kind of what changes our isekai from the normal one. And it is a rather, I don't know I wouldn't say each episode is aimless. But because I guess technically of the fact that there is no overarching plot here, no desperate mission, you could technically say that each episode's aimless. Because but we're just kind of trying to get stronger. I don't know about the other rest of the stuff because I didn't like it doesn't really pertain to us since it's talking about the harem situation, which I wouldn't really call our story a harem. So if you like harems, you probably won't like ours. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like the fact that there's maybe four opposite genders in the story uh kinda just proves my point even further. So if you're looking for a bunch of ladies to be like, doing lovey-dovey moves on the guys, then our thing probably isn't for you. Uh, However, we are technically all men that are straight to my knowledge, except maybe one, or two, depends, I guess. But yeah, most likely, definitely one is probably the gay one. So if you're also gay and you're looking for maybe a boys' romance, you're probably not going to get it. Probably, I say, because like I said, only one of us is most likely gay. So there's a very real chance that if you're trying to look for that, you're probably not going to get it either. I mean, keep in mind the rest of us are very straight. We don't like discriminate or nothing, but like, we're not actively looking for the other stuff. Like, none of us that are, I guess, in the story as of now are technically bi, unless one of us decides to. I don't know. With that being said, if you enjoyed this video or need more information or, looking at this video for some other purpose, I'll try to do more. Maybe even do better explaining or something. Or hopefully just, encourage whomever to help out, because we do actually have a GoFundMe. In which case, I'll actually put that. I was going to put it right here on the recording screen, but that would kind of look weird. So instead, I will send that to either future me or for my dogs. It's a QR code which you can just scan if you want to go to the GoFundMe page and, help us out, because any amount of money technically works, and the more money we get in, since I'm the only one paying for it, it will make the story go faster, or at least the manga, and maybe even the anime, because that will be awesome if the anime can come out quicker. Since I do plan on having some very high level animation. But with that being said, if you're also already on GoFundMe and you're watching this video, then and this helped you decide maybe to help out, speed it up a little bit, see what you're working with, then you definitely probably won't be disappointed. I don't think so. I mean, the story is pretty cool. There's like a lot of cool moments in there, especially later on. In my opinion, it literally only gets better with time. And as much as I would love to spoil and give the reason of why it gets better, I just want to say, keep in mind, there is an official pro team creating the story, like basically a storyboard of it, while me and my friends kind of just build off that. So keep in mind, the professionals are always there. And if you're worried about the writing, they are there. Initially, the story has already been pre-written, and we go based off what they pre-wrote. However, if you're also up for something new and you want to see some new isekais that, maybe even bring something different to the table, since there's a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different things. And unlike normal isekais, there are 7 different people that all have 7 different ways of thinking and won't all act the same. And you can know for a fact that while you're watching the series, that there's never a dull moment, at least in my opinion. With that being said, see you all in the next video. Peace out, everyone.